Welcome to Water's Edge Television. I'm your host, Craig Finnestad, and with us today is Brett Major. Right now we are standing on the Bob Carey Bridge. It's a dividing line between Iowa and Nebraska at the Missouri River, and it's a waterlogged Missouri River. There's a huge flood going on both sides. You can see temporary levees being built, floods that have happened. Brett is a recent graduate of Texas Christian University, and he's going to go to graduate school this year at Wake Forest, so that's a new adventure for you. But you were on an adventure last year in the summer of 2010 where you and a number of other people rode your bikes across the United States. What would make you want to do something like that, riding a bike from one side of the country to the other?
I was just kind of looking for a thrill, like you said, an adventure. I couldn't really think of a more exciting way to spend my summer than seeing the country from a bike, and I knew it would be a challenge and something that would be difficult, but something that would be fulfilling in the end and worth it in some of the beautiful places that I got to see.
So tell us a little bit about the organization that you rode with and some of the people you rode with as well. What was that like?
There were 30 young adults on my trip, and the organization we rode with is called Bike and Build, and it's a nonprofit organization that raises money for affordable housing. So most people are familiar with organizations like Habitat, and that's an affordable housing organization that we work with. And we spent 6 days a week on our bikes riding about 70 miles a day, and we would stop usually about once a week and work on an affordable housing project. So yeah, it was a pretty cut and dry summer as far as our schedule went, but it was a great time.
So you'd ride your bike 70 days a week, then occasionally you get a day off where you'd actually work on housing.
Yes, yeah, so we did everything, a lot of stuff that I did on mission trips growing up at Faith Westwood. Some days you're painting, some days you're doing drywall, some days you're, nail and hammer, working on the framing of the house, so all sorts of things on the build days.
So where was it that you started?
We started in Providence, Rhode Island, and we rode to and then finished in Seattle, Washington.
Okay, so you started in Rhode Island, you kind of started gradually making your way westward.
Yep.
You would have had to climb the Appalachian Mountains, I assume.
Yes, yeah, we went through, it was the Catskills, through New York State, upstate New York, and surprisingly, pretty difficult riding through those. You don't think those are going to be the big, difficult mountains, but yeah, it was pretty rough because it was right at the beginning of the trip.
Not only did you get to experience America, but you got to experience Americans as well. And what was it like? The people in the towns, the host towns, the places you stayed. How were y'all received for you riding your bikes?
Yeah, I think that was probably my favorite part of the trip, is just meeting all the people from all over, all different walks of life. I mean, every host that we had was incredible. They were welcomed us into their community and cooked meals for us and gave us a place to stay, and some went above and beyond and got yoga instructors for us, which we needed most days, or got ice cream for it. There was all sorts of little things that the community did.
So you're biking 70 miles a day for weeks. I assume you guys are eating a lot of food along the way.
Yeah, our diet, they told us we needed to be eating 6,000 to 8,000 calories a day.
So what kind of food would you typically eat?
I mean, just a lot of pasta, anything and everything. We were, some days it was ice cream and hamburgers, and it was anything we could get our hands on, basically.
Good, so you pass through the mountains, you start to go to the upper Midwest. You come, I think you went through Sioux City, if I'm not mistaken, so you crossed the Missouri River as you entered into, or the Mississippi as you entered into Iowa, then the Missouri as you came a little bit westward. Was it different regionally in different parts of the country, how you experienced people, or were people pretty similar throughout the country?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, on the East Coast, everything is so dense. It seems like you're going from one town to the next, even in places that are considered rural. But once you got kind of into the Midwest, and especially in the West, it was just few and far between were the towns, and we saw a lot more poverty as we kind of went west. In South Dakota, for example, there were a lot of Indian reservations and a lot of just small towns that there's just not a lot out there. Saw some pretty desolate places, and we also saw some pretty affluent places. So it was a whole mix.
So you were riding with 30 other young adults. Most of them are pretty much your age. I assume you guys had to develop tight friendships and bonds, during the times you were riding.
Yeah, absolutely. We were a family of 30 on the whole trip. I mean, it was a lot of great people. Everyone was so different, but you know, we all kind of found our things in common and really bonded over that. And by the end of the trip, you know, I have 30 best friends that are scattered all across the country.
Now, there was an accident. Was the accident in South Dakota where one of the riders unfortunately was hit and died in the accident? What was that like for you personally?
You know, it was rough. I think I can speak for everyone on my team, and that, you know, we started this trip and most of us are either in college or recent graduates, and you kind of have that feeling of invincibility. You know, you're young and, you know, nothing's going to happen. I think for most of us it was the first time we'd really lost someone close to us, a close friend. You know, you always expect, you know, grandparents, you know, they're getting old, they're going to die, but you don't expect your 21-year-old friend to, you know, be there one day and gone the next. So it was rough. It was really hard on all of us.
What are some of the ways that you guys kind of help each other, you know, through this and through this process?
I think it just helped our family community that we had built, and we all were going through the exact same thing. So, you know, we knew when someone wanted to talk and when they didn't, and when they just needed a hug, or when they felt like, you know, they didn't feel safe riding that day, so they would just get in the van and ride. You know, we were just supportive of everyone and knew that everyone was going to kind of cope with it differently. And I think it was just kind of the fact that we all knew what each other were going through, and that we didn't have to, you know, it was just a genuine family connection we had.
Yeah, so then you go through South Dakota, you're probably up in Wyoming and probably the northern part of the Rocky Mountains. You know, this is a very desolate area where you see even less towns. What was it like going through the western part of the country all the way out to Washington?
I can't say enough about how beautiful that part of the country is. I mean, starting in western Wyoming and the Tetons and going through Yellowstone, and you go through Montana is beautiful, and all of Washington is incredible. I mean, I can't say enough how beautiful the country is that we live in, and it was so great to see, you know, what God has done with the landscape of where we live. And one state that I found I was really surprised by was Washington State, because on the east side it's all flat and there's huge wheat fields. You just see nothing but wheat, and you wouldn't have expected that. And then by the time you get to the west side, there's huge snow-capped mountains and lakes and the ocean, and it's, you know, the diversity of the places that we rode through was pretty incredible.
Were you much of a bike rider before you started this trip?
Not really. Pretty casual biker, more of a runner, and just figured
Was it ever physically challenging for you?
Oh, absolutely. More so at the beginning of the trip. The Appalachian Mountains on the East Coast were the rough parts, because we weren't quite conditioned as well. I mean, there's really no way to prepare for running or for riding 70 miles a day, 6 days a week. So
did most people who start the ride, did they finish?
Yep. Yeah. Everyone did it. You know, everyone had, every now and then there'd be the occasional injuries. You know, someone had a knee issue and people would ride in the van, but yeah, everyone did it, and we had people of all different abilities. And you know, it was, the thing about it is it wasn't a race. You could take your time, and it was just everyone was able to, you know, go at their own pace. So
you saw you know, a lot of America, but what's something that you learned about yourself during this trip?
You know, I think I just learned that, like a lot of things in life, it's, you know, it's a marathon more than it is a race. And if you just stick at something, it might take you a while, but if you just persevere and work hard, you know, you can accomplish something like riding across the country. It doesn't happen in one day, and if you think of it as 2 months of riding your bike nonstop, it's overwhelming. But if you just look at it as one day at a time, it's pretty incredible. And so I think I just gained a lot of confidence more than anything, in that, you know, I can do something like riding across the U.S. I can do other things too.
What is something that you learned about people during this trip?
I think, you know, I was just looking actually at my journal before you even called me. I was looking at my journal of stuff last night about the trip, and at the end I wrote something that I think kind of summed it up. And it's just that, you know, you see so many bad things going on, and people, you know, messing up and making mistakes, and you see, you know, politicians doing things they shouldn't be, or, you know, whatever it is. But I think my kind of just faith in humanity was restored after the summer, and it was just all these young people going out and trying to make a difference. And not only that, but all the hosts that welcomed us and treated us with so much love and kindness that, it just, I left the summer thinking, you know, we live in a great world, and there's great people out there, and there's good in the world, and it's easy to forget sometimes when you watch the news, but it's there.
And we talked a few times on your trip, and I'd be interested to know as well, what's something you learned about God, or how did you experience God during the trip?
Yeah, I think the accident with Paige was a big kind of eye opener for me, and a kind of just a reminder of how precious life is, and how important it is to take each day as a blessing. And I really learned to rely on Him when I was having a bad day, and I was having a rough time, whether physically or mentally or emotionally. And it's just knowing that God's always there to be a rock was something that was a big comfort to me.
So what was it like? You get there to the Pacific Ocean, you can see that the journey is complete. And did you actually go and dip your tire into the ocean at all?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I still think about that almost every day. And I look at pictures of that all the time. It was awesome. We all kind of waited for everyone to get in. The last day we all rode together in a huge pack, and we all gathered in a huddle, and then we kind of all just sprinted into the ocean. We all ran and dove in, and we're celebrating, and then we eventually went back and grabbed our bikes and dipped the front tire in, kind of just to symbolize. We dipped our back wheel in the Atlantic, so it was it was one of the happiest triumphant moments in my life, and I still think about that when I'm having a bad day. I think about that time, and it just brings a smile on my face every time.
Well, that's a wonderful moment for you, and it's a powerful lesson for all of us that God can do extraordinary things through ordinary people. And I know that was a defining moment for your life, and all of us can take that journey as well. It may not be a bike ride across the country, but we can do great things through God who gives us strength. So Brad, I want to thank you for being with us today. This is a great story, and I'm so glad that you got to share that today. And I also want to invite you to worship with us at the Water's Edge. We meet at 9 o'clock and 10:30 at Millard West High School on Sunday mornings. You can check out all the information on our website. That's www.watersedgeomaha.com. So I'll look forward to seeing you on Sunday morning, and I also look forward to seeing you back here next week on WETV. Have a great day.